Success begins with self-belief. Let me say that again, because some of you have been trying to build a new life on top of a broken opinion of yourself. Success begins with self-belief. And if you don't believe in you, it does not matter how many books you buy, how many videos you watch, how many plans you make, how many people cheer for you, because deep down, you will sabotage what your hands try to build when your mind has already decided you are not enough. That's the truth most people don't want to hear. You are not always losing because life is unfair. You are not always stuck because you were born in the wrong place. You are not always behind because other people had a head start. Sometimes, and I need you to hear me with your heart open, sometimes the biggest thing standing between you and the life you say you want is the story you keep telling yourself about who you are. If you stay with me until the end, I'm going to help you shift that story. I'm going to give you a new way to look at success, a new way to look at yourself, and a simple, practical way to begin changing your life today. Not next year, not when your confidence magically appears. Today. So don't just listen halfway. Stay all the way through, because if you leave too early, you might miss the one sentence your soul has been waiting to hear. I want you to picture somebody, not some superstar, not some perfect person on a stage, just someone ordinary. Someone tired, someone trying, someone who smiles in public and falls apart in private. Maybe someone like you. This person wakes up every morning with good intentions. They say, this is the day, this is the week, this is the month things are going to change. They make a list. They set goals. They save videos. They read posts about discipline, purpose, abundance, growth. They talk themselves into trying again. And for a moment, they feel a little spark. But then life starts talking. Bills start talking. Old mistakes start talking. Memories start talking. That voice in the head starts talking. Who do you think you are? You tried before and failed. You are too late. You are not smart enough. You are not talented enough. People like you don't make it. Be realistic. Don't embarrass yourself. Stay where it's safe. And little by little, that spark gets smaller. So they hesitate. They overthink. They wait. They compare. They start and stop. Start and stop. Start and stop. You know that cycle, right? They watch other people move ahead and tell themselves, maybe I just don't have what it takes. Maybe I missed my chance. Maybe greatness belongs to other people. Maybe confidence is something you are born with, not something you build. Maybe success is for the lucky, not for the people who have been knocked down too many times. Be honest. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever looked in the mirror and seen more disappointment than possibility? Have you ever wanted more for your life but secretly wondered whether you were the problem? Have you ever clapped for everybody else while questioning whether there was anything worth clapping for in you? Come on now. This is real. This is where a lot of people live. And here's what hurts the most. It's not just that they fail. It's that before they even begin, they expect themselves to fail. That expectation becomes energy. That energy becomes behavior. That behavior becomes results. Then the results become proof for the lie they already believed. That's how self-doubt traps people. I knew a man once, not famous, not rich, not somebody you would ever see on a magazine cover. Just a regular working man. He had a family to take care of, a job he didn't love, and a dream he kept hidden because he was ashamed to speak it out loud. Every day he would go to work before sunrise. Every day he would come home exhausted. Every day he would sit in his car for a few minutes before going inside, because in that car, with the engine off and the silence all around him, he could admit something to himself he couldn't admit to anybody else. He was unhappy, not because he hated work, not because life had no blessings, but because he knew he was living far beneath what was possible for him. You ever felt that kind of pain? That quiet pain? That pain where nothing is completely broken on the outside, but inside you know you are slowly abandoning yourself? He had ideas. He had passion. He had things he wanted to do. A business he wanted to start. Classes he wanted to take. Conversations he needed to have. Risks he wanted to take. But every time he got close to acting on it, fear stepped in front of faith. What if I fail? What if people laugh? What if I lose money? What if I'm not good enough? What if I try my hardest and still come up short? Now let me ask you something. What kind of life do you create when your biggest decisions are being made by your smallest thinking? Think about that. One night, after another long day, he came home and found his young son trying to put together a small model airplane. The pieces were scattered all over the floor. The child was frustrated.
His little hands were shaking. He looked up and said, "I can't do it." And the father, almost without thinking, said, "Yes, you can. Slow down. Don't quit because it's hard. You can figure it out." The little boy looked at him and said something simple, something innocent, something that cut straight through him. "Then why don't you?" That was it. No long speech, no dramatic music, no miracle, just one question. "Then why don't you?" That man told me later that it felt like the room got still, because in that moment he realized he had been teaching courage with his mouth and fear with his math. He had been telling other people to believe while he kept shrinking his own possibilities. He had been acting like his dream needed permission from everybody except himself. How many of you are doing that right now? You tell your children to be bold, but you are living scared. You tell your friends to go for it, but you are still hiding. You speak life into everybody else while starving your own spirit. If I'm talking to you, stay with me. That night he sat at the kitchen table after everybody went to sleep. No noise, no distractions, just him, a pen, a piece of paper, and the weight of the truth. He wrote down all the reasons he had not moved forward. Lack of time, lack of money, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being ready, old mistakes, family pressure, age, responsibility. Then he stared at that page for a long time. And then he wrote one more line. "The real reason is I do not fully believe in myself." That was the turning point. Not because the next morning everything changed. Not because the fear disappeared. Not because the path got easy. But because for the first time, he stopped blaming life for what self-doubt was doing. And that is where so many breakthroughs begin. When you stop lying to yourself about what is really going on. When you stop decorating your excuses. When you stop saying one day when the truth is you are afraid of today. When you stop calling it waiting for the right time when really you are waiting to feel guaranteed. Listen to me carefully. You will never feel fully guaranteed.
There is no moment where life taps you on the shoulder and says, "Congratulations." Now there is zero risk, zero pain, and zero chance of looking foolish. That day does not come. The people you admire, the people who built something, the people who rose up from nothing, the people who changed their lives, they did not move because they felt no fear. They moved because they decided their future mattered more than their fear. That man made one small decision. He would no longer ask, "What if I fail?" He would also ask, "What if I make it?" He would no longer treat his doubts like facts. He would no longer wait to feel like a different person before taking action. He would act into belief. That's important. He would act into belief. Because a lot of you think self-belief comes first, full and complete, before action. You think one day you will wake up overflowing with confidence. And then you will start the business. Speak up, apply, create, leave what is draining you. Become disciplined, become consistent, become the person you keep imagining. But that is not how it works most of the time. Self-belief is not something you sit around and wait for. Self-belief is something you build. And you build it by making promises to yourself and keeping them. You build it by doing what you said you would do even when your feelings are not cooperating. You build it by surviving days you thought would break you. You build it by taking one step and then another. You build it by collecting evidence that you can trust yourself. That man started small. He woke up 30 minutes earlier. That was it. 30 minutes. Not because 30 minutes would change his whole life overnight, but because it was a declaration. It was his way of saying, "I am done abandoning my future." He used those 30 minutes to study, to plan, to think, to work on one thing that mattered to him. Some mornings he was tired. Some mornings he doubted himself. Some mornings he felt ridiculous. Some mornings he felt ridiculous. But he kept going. A week passed, then another, then another. He wasn't seeing huge results yet. And this is where most people quit, not because they cannot do it, but because they expected immediate proof.
And when life didn't clap right away, they assumed they were doing it wrong. Can I tell you something that might save your future? The beginning often looks unimpressive. The early stage is often quiet. The first few steps may not look powerful. The growth may be invisible before it becomes undeniable. Do not disrespect small beginnings. Do not insult the first brick because it is not yet a building. Do not walk away from your seed because it does not look like a forest. Some of you are quitting in the invisible stage. You are leaving before the roots take hold. You are judging your day 1 against somebody else's year 10. And then you say, "See, I knew I wasn't good enough." No, you were just impatient with your own becoming.
If you're still here listening to this, type "I'm still here" in the comments. I want to know who is really with me. I want to know who is not just looking for inspiration, but transformation. Because this message is not for spectators. This is for people who are tired of being their own biggest obstacle. This is for people who are tired of carrying dreams in one hand and doubt in the other. This is for people who are finally ready to choose a side. Now let me take you deeper. Success begins with self-belief, because before the world responds to you, you respond to you. Before people buy into your vision, you buy into your vision. Before opportunities open up, your mind has to open up. Before results change, identity changes. Most people want success to prove they should believe in themselves. But the truth is, they have to start believing in themselves before success has room to grow. Not arrogant belief, not fake belief, not loud, shallow, performative confidence. I'm talking about grounded belief, quiet belief, the kind of belief that says, I may not know exactly how this will happen, but I know I am capable of learning, growing, adapting, and rising. That kind of belief changes the way you walk into rooms. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what you say yes to. It changes what you say no to. It changes how you recover after setbacks. It changes whether failure defines you or teaches you. See, the wrong way to think about self-belief is this. People think self-belief means you never doubt yourself. That is not true. There are people doing extraordinary things who still hear doubt. They still have hard days. They still question themselves. They still feel fear. The difference is not the absence of doubt. The difference is who gets the final vote. Doubt may speak, fear may speak, pain may speak, but self-belief says you don't get to drive. That's the shift. Another thing people do wrong is they think self-belief comes from praise. They think, if enough people support me, then I'll feel strong. If people approve, I'll feel confident. If my family understands, I'll move. If my friends stop judging, I'll start. If social media responds, I'll know I have something. No.
If your belief depends on applause, then silence will destroy you. There will be seasons where nobody sees what you see. There will be seasons where people misunderstand your growth. There will be seasons where your progress is not obvious. There will be seasons where the people closest to you cannot hear what your spirit keeps trying to say. You cannot make public agreement a requirement for private obedience. There are some things you have to pursue because they are true in you, even before they are visible to others. Be honest. How many things have you delayed because you were waiting for somebody to nod? How many dreams have you kept in a box because you were afraid people would call you unrealistic?
How many times have you watered down your own vision so you wouldn't make other people uncomfortable? Let me tell you something with love and with force. You cannot become who you are meant to be by asking permission from people who are committed to become poor. Dang the same. Let that sit for a moment. Some people are not trying to protect you. They are trying to protect their idea of you. And when you start growing, changing, reaching, stretching, believing bigger, it forces them to confront the limits they accepted in themselves. So they tell you to calm down. Be practical. Don't do too much. Stay safe. Stay familiar. Stay small enough so they don't have to question why they stayed small. But your life is not a group project.
Your purpose is not a committee decision. Your future is too important to hand over to the fears of people who are not willing to pay the price for your calling. Now hear me clearly. I'm not telling you to become reckless. I'm not telling you to ignore wisdom. I'm not telling you to reject good counsel. I'm telling you to stop letting other people's insecurity become your instruction. That man I told you about started making progress because he stopped waiting for emotional certainty. He made a schedule and he honored it. He read when he was tired. He learned when he felt behind. He worked when nobody was clapping. He got rejected a few times. He made mistakes. He doubted himself. He wanted to quit.
And every time he wanted to quit, that old voice came back.
See? This is why you shouldn't have tried. This is embarrassing. Go back to what's familiar. At least there you know the pain. Now that's deep. Because some of you are not staying stuck because stuck feels good. You are staying stuck because stuck feels familiar. Familiar pain is seductive. It whispers, stay with me, at least I know your name. And growth says, come with me, but I cannot show you everything in advance. That is why self-belief matters. Because without it, you will keep choosing what is known over what is possible. You'll stay in the relationship that drains your soul because you doubt you deserve better.
You'll stay in the job that crushes your spirit because you doubt you can build another path. You'll keep hiding your gifts because you doubt your voice matters. You'll keep shrinking your life to the size of your fear. Listen, fear is a liar with a convincing voice. And if you have not trained your mind, it will sound like truth. Self-belief is the discipline of refusing to let your lowest thoughts become your highest authority. That's what it is. It is discipline. People want to make it soft and mysterious. It's not. It's spiritual, yes. It's emotional, yes. But it's also practical. You train self-belief by what you repeatedly say to yourself. You train it by what you repeatedly do. You train it by the environments you keep. You train it by what you feed your mind. You train it by the standards you accept. You train it by whether you keep breaking your own word. That last one is big. Every time you say, I'm going to do this, and then you don't, your mind notices. Every time you tell yourself, starting tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and goes, your mind notices. Every time you promise yourself change, and then negotiate with your comfort, your mind notices. And after a while, your spirit becomes hesitant. Not because you are weak, but because you have taught yourself not to trust yourself. Some of you don't have a confidence problem as much as you have a self-trust problem.
You have disappointed yourself so many times that now even your own goals sound like empty noise. But here's the good news. Self-trust can be rebuilt. One kept promise at a time. One honest day at a time. One courageous choice at a time. You don't rebuild it by saying, I'll become a whole new person overnight. That's another trap. You rebuild it by making the commitment so small that your excuses have nowhere to hide. You say, for the next 7 days, I will wake up and speak life over myself before I touch my phone. For the next 7 days, I will spend 10 minutes working on the thing I say matters. For the next 7 days, I will not insult myself in my own mind. For the next 7 days, I will write down one reason I am capable. For the next 7 days, I will do one thing that scares me a little. That is how it begins. The world wants to sell you dramatic transformation, but real change often enters through a side door called consistency. And I know some of you are thinking, but you don't understand what I've been through. You don't understand how many times I've failed. You don't understand what they said to me. You don't understand how long I've been carrying this weight. You're right. I may not know every detail of your pain, but I know this. Your past may explain your hesitation, but it does not have the right to dictate your future. You have been through things that shook you. You have survived things that changed you. Maybe you were criticized.
Maybe you were rejected. Maybe you were overlooked. Maybe you were abandoned. Maybe your effort was mocked. Maybe your mistakes were used to define you. Maybe somewhere along the line, somebody with a loud voice and a small vision planted a lie in your mind, and you have been living under it ever since. Not good enough. Not smart enough. Not attractive enough. Not disciplined enough. Not strong enough. Not leadership material. Not special. Not chosen. Not capable. And because those words were spoken early, or spoken often, or spoken by someone who mattered to you, they sank deep. Now even when nobody is saying it, you keep repeating it. That is why healing matters. That is why awareness matters.
Because sometimes the battle is not with the world. Sometimes the battle is with an old script running in your head. You have to challenge that script. Who told you that you were too broken to win? Who told you your mistakes disqualified you? Who told you your beginning determined your ending? Who told you your current condition was your final identity? Pause for a second and ask yourself, do you really want this, or are you just saying you do? Because if you really want a different life, then you are going to have to become ruthless about protecting your mind from lies that keep you small. You cannot plant possibility in soil full of poison. You cannot speak defeat over yourself all day and expect courage to rise at night.
You cannot surround yourself with constant negativity and then wonder why your spirit is tired. Self-belief grows in a healthy inner environment. That means you have to watch your language. Some of you joke your way into weakness. You say things like, I'm just lazy. I never finish anything. I'm always messing up. I'm not the type of person who can do that. I'm too old now. I'm too far behind. I'm not built for success. Stop that. Your mouth is not neutral. Your words are shaping your identity. You keep introducing yourself to your future as someone unqualified, and then you wonder why you keep acting uncertain. I'm not telling you to lie to yourself. I'm telling you to stop cursing what you are trying to build.
Say what is true in a way that gives you power. Instead of I never finish anything, say I am learning consistency. Instead of I'm too afraid, say I feel fear, but I am still moving. Instead of I'm not good enough, say I am growing into the person required for this next level. That is not fantasy. That is alignment. And let me say something else. Self-belief is not the same as thinking you are better than everybody else. Real belief does not need arrogance. Real belief is humble enough to learn and strong enough to continue. Arrogance screams because it is insecure. Belief stands because it is rooted. There are people who look confident but collapse at the first criticism.
There are people who speak loudly about success, but cannot sit quietly with themselves. There are people who perform certainty for the world while privately drowning in self. Rejection. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the kind of belief that lets you admit, I have work to do, without turning that into, I am worthless. The kind of belief that says, I made a mistake, without turning that into, I am a mistake. The kind of belief that says, I am not there yet, without turning that into, I will never get there. That word yet can save your life. I don't know how yet. I'm not where I want to be yet. I haven't mastered this yet. I haven't become fully disciplined yet. I haven't built it yet.
Yet leaves room for growth. Yet keeps the door open.
Yet honors the process. Some of you have been declaring endings where life only wrote a comma. Don't do that. Don't bury your future because your present is uncomfortable. If this message is hitting you, write I'm ready below. Not for me, for you. Sometimes you need to see your own commitment in writing. Now let's go deeper into what people usually do wrong when it comes to success and self-belief. A lot of people wait to feel worthy before they take responsibility. That is a mistake. They say, when I feel better about myself, then I'll become disciplined. When I feel more confident, then I'll show up consistently. When I feel sure, then I'll take the risk.
When I feel healed, then I'll begin.
When I feel motivated, then I'll commit.
But action is not the reward of confidence. Often, action is the builder of confidence. Responsibility comes first. You show up while your voice is shaking. You begin while your mind is noisy. You try while you are still learning. You commit before it feels natural. You move before the full feeling catches up. This is what separates dreamers from builders. Dreamers fall in love with the image. Builders fall in love with the process. And the process will test you. Oh, it will test you. It will test your patience. It will test your ego. It will test your excuses. It will test whether you really want the result or just the fantasy of the result.
Because success does not only ask, what do you want? It asks, who are you willing to become to hold it? That's a different question. Everybody wants the trophy. Everybody wants the money. Everybody wants the platform. Everybody wants the breakthrough. Everybody wants the glow up. Everybody wants the outcome. But who is willing to become disciplined when nobody is watching? Who is willing to stay faithful in small places? Who is willing to practice in obscurity? Who is willing to grow through embarrassment? Who is willing to be a beginner without letting pride stop them? Who is willing to keep moving after rejection? That is where self-belief becomes visible. Not in your words, in your willingness to continue.
There is another mistake people make. They confuse perfection with readiness. They think they need the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect skill set, the perfect confidence level, the perfect conditions. And because life is never perfect, they never begin. Perfection is procrastination wearing a suit. Perfection is fear trying to sound intelligent. Perfection is self-doubt with a polished vocabulary. You do not need perfection. You need movement. You need honesty. You need commitment. You need the courage to be bad before you get better. Can you handle being a beginner? Can you handle not looking impressive at first? Can you handle learning in public or even failing in private?
Can you handle the part of growth that doesn't feel glamorous? Because if you can, your life can change. That man I told you about, he was not extraordinary at first. He was inconsistent. He was nervous. He second-guessed himself. His first attempts were rough. He made avoidable mistakes. He wasted some time. He invested energy in the wrong things. He had days where he did not believe much at all. But he had made one powerful choice. He refused to stop just because he was not yet where he wanted to be. That refusal changed him. Slowly, his mornings turned into momentum. Momentum turned into results. Results turned into confidence. Confidence turned into bigger action. Bigger action turned into new opportunities. And one day he looked around and realized he was no longer the man who sat in the car afraid to go inside and face himself. Why? Because success had changed him? No. Because self-belief had allowed him to become the kind of person who could create success. That's the order. Not success first. Belief first. Action from belief. Growth from action. Results from growth. And yes, life will still hit you. Let's be honest. This is not magic. This is not a movie. You can believe in yourself and still get rejected. You can move forward and still get hurt. You can work hard and still have setbacks. You can do the right things and still go through hard seasons. Self-belief does not remove struggle. It changes how you meet struggle. Without self-belief, every obstacle looks like confirmation that you should quit. With self-belief, every obstacle becomes information. Without self-belief, failure becomes identity. With self-belief, failure becomes instruction. Without self-belief, delay feels like death. With self-belief, delay becomes preparation. That shift is everything. You know what makes some people unstoppable? It's not that they never get hit. It's that they do not interpret every hit as a verdict on their worth. They say, that hurt, but it is not the end. That was disappointing, but I am still in the game. That did not work, but I can adjust. That closed, but I can knock on another door. That season humbled me, but it also taught me. That is strength.
That is maturity. That is self-belief in motion. And I need to speak to those of you who have been carrying shame, because shame is one of the biggest enemies of self-belief. Shame says because you failed, you are a failure. Because you made a bad choice, you are a bad person. Because you fell, you are unworthy of rising. Because you lost time, there is no point in trying now. No. Shame will keep you chained to a version of yourself that no longer needs to exist. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, maybe you ignored your own wisdom. Yes, maybe you wasted years. Yes, maybe you hurt people. Yes, maybe you let fear run your life for too long. But if you are breathing, your story is not over. If you can hear this message, there is still time to respond. If there is still fire in your chest when you think about the life you were meant to live, then there is still something calling you forward. Do not let shame make a permanent home in a temporary chapter. You are allowed to grow beyond who you were. You are allowed to outlive your worst decision. You are allowed to become trustworthy after being lost. You are allowed to rebuild. And let me tell you something powerful. Sometimes self-belief is not this loud, triumphant feeling. Sometimes self-belief is simply refusing to give up on yourself while you are still under construction. That may be where you are right now. Not fully confident, not fully clear, not fully healed,
not fully disciplined, but still here, still trying, still listening, still willing. That matters. If you're still here, type "still fighting" in the comments, because I want to speak to the fighters tonight, not the perfect people, the fighters. The ones who have cried and kept going. The ones who have doubted and still shown up. The ones who have fallen and are trying to stand again. You are closer than you think, but you have to stop talking yourself out of your next step. Now let's deal with comparison, because comparison can destroy self-belief faster than almost anything. You look at somebody else and suddenly your path feels late. Your gift feels small. Your progress feels weak. Your beginning feels embarrassing.
Your life feels behind, but comparison is a thief with good marketing. It makes you overlook your own assignment while worshiping somebody else's timeline. You do not know what they had to endure. You do not know what they sacrificed. You do not know what advantages they had. You do not know what pain they carry. And most importantly, their path is not your path. You cannot win your race while staring sideways. You cannot hear your calling clearly while you are obsessed with someone else's stage. Some of you are being delayed not by lack of talent, but by divided attention. You spend more time measuring than moving, more time watching than building, more time admiring than applying. Listen.
Use other people's success as proof, not punishment. Let it remind you what is possible. Let it stretch your imagination, but do not let it shrink your spirit. Your chapter 1 may not look like their chapter 20. That is okay. Stay with your page. Write your line. Build your brick. Run your mile. The seed does not become a tree by resenting the tree. It becomes a tree by growing where it is planted. Now here is another truth most people miss. Self-belief is connected to vision. It is hard to believe in yourself when you have stopped imagining a meaningful future. Some people are not lazy. They are disconnected. Some people are not incapable. They are uninspired. Some people are not weak. They are directionless.
If you wake up every day with no compelling reason to rise, no vision pulling you, no picture of what your life could become, then of course it is hard to sustain belief. What are you building toward? Who are you becoming? What matters deeply enough that you are willing to endure inconvenience for it? You need a reason. You need something bigger than your mood. You need a why strong enough to compete with your excuses. That man found his why in part through that question from his child. Then why don't you? He realized he did not only want more money or more freedom, he wanted to live a life his children could learn from. He wanted them to see courage, not just hear about it. He wanted to break a pattern. He wanted to stop passing down hesitation as if it were wisdom. Now maybe you don't have children. That's okay. Maybe your why is your mother who sacrificed everything. Maybe your why is the younger version of you who deserved better. Maybe your why is breaking poverty. Maybe your why is creating peace where chaos ruled. Maybe your why is using your gift before you die with it still locked inside you. Maybe your why is proving to yourself that this pain did not happen for nothing. Find your why. Feed it. Visit it often. Write it down. Read it when you are tired. Remember it when doubt is loud. Because on hard days, technique may fail you, but meaning can carry you.
Now I want to speak to the person who keeps saying, I'll believe in myself when I see results. Let me challenge you. Did you wait to plant a seed until after you saw the tree? No. You planted because you believed something could grow. Results are important, yes. But results are not always first. Sometimes belief has to go to work before evidence shows up. Think about it. Every major change in life begins in invisible form. A thought, a decision, a standard, a belief, a commitment. Nobody sees it at first. Nobody applauds it at first. Sometimes nobody even understands it. But that invisible shift becomes visible over time. Some of you are one internal decision away from a different life. Not $1 million away.
Not one perfect opportunity away. One decision. The decision to stop insulting yourself. The decision to stop delaying your growth. The decision to stop turning every setback into a funeral. The decision to stop calling yourself by names that pain gave you. The decision to believe that your life can still become something powerful. That decision matters. And once you make it, guard it. Because the old mindset will come back to negotiate. It will say, calm down. You always get inspired and then go back. It will say, don't get your hopes up. It will say, who are you trying to become? It will say, this won't last. When that voice comes, do not argue all day. Answer it with action. That is one of the greatest ways to silence inner doubt.
Not endless debate. Demonstration. You think you can't be disciplined? Get up and do the work. You think you can't be consistent? Keep the promise today. You think you can't change? Make one different choice now. You think you always quit? Stay one more day. You think you are weak? Face what you usually avoid. Action speaks louder than your insecurity. Now let me tell you something else. Environment matters. You can be trying to build self-belief while sitting in spaces that constantly tear you down. That is hard. You may need to change what you listen to. Change what you watch. Change who gets access to your mind. Change the conversations you keep rehearsing. Change the rooms where your possibilities go to die.
I know that's not always easy. Sometimes the environment is family. Sometimes it's work. Sometimes it's old friends. Sometimes it's your own daily habits. But pay attention. Where do you feel drained? Where do you feel smaller? Where do you feel like your future is being laughed at? Where do you leave doubting what you knew before you entered? You need environments that tell the truth about your potential. Not just flatter you, not just hype you. Tell the truth, challenge you, stretch you, support your growth, call you higher. Some of you need new voices in your ear. Voices of wisdom, voices of courage, voices of possibility. Because if all you hear is limitation, eventually limitation sounds normal. And please hear this.
Sometimes protecting your self-belief means spending time alone. Not lonely, aligned. Quiet enough to hear your own soul again. There is power in stepping back from noise. Power in journaling. Power in prayer. Power in reflection. Power in asking yourself, what do I really believe about me? And where did that belief come from? That question can open doors. Because many of your beliefs were inherited, not chosen. You inherited fear, inherited scarcity, inherited low expectations, inherited silence, inherited the idea that survival was enough and dreaming was dangerous. But inherited does not mean permanent. You can choose again. You can say, this may be where I came from, but it is not where I have to stay. This may be what I learned, but it is not all I can learn. This may be the pattern I saw, but it is not the pattern I have to repeat. That is self-belief too. The courage to interrupt a cycle. I want to speak to the people who feel late. You think because you are older, the window is closed. You think because you lost time, the race is over. You think because other people are ahead, your chance has passed. Listen carefully. As long as you are alive, there is still room to rise. Now, yes, you may need urgency. Yes, you may need focus. Yes, you may need to stop wasting time. But do not confuse late with lost. Do not confuse delay with denial. Do not confuse your timeline with your worth. Some flowers bloom in different seasons. Some stories take longer because they are deeper. Some people need more breaking before they can hold more blessing. Some wisdom can only be built through time. Your job is not to complain about the clock. Your job is to use what is left with everything you have. There are people who waste 10 more years grieving the 10 years they already lost. Don't do that. Don't spend your future mourning your past. Use the pain as fuel. Use regret as instruction. Use awareness as a turning point. Right now, right here. This can be the moment you stop bleeding energy into who you used to be and start investing in who you can become. Say it to yourself. My life is not over. My mistakes are not my master. My fear is not my future. Success begins with self-belief, and I am learning to believe again. Now that phrase, believe again, matters. Because some of you did believe once, before the heartbreak, before the betrayal, before the divorce, before the failure, before the layoff, before the humiliation, before the setback, before the people you trusted dropped your confidence on the floor. You believed once, you were hopeful once, you were bold once, and then life hit you in the mouth, and now even dreaming feels dangerous. I understand that, but hear me. Pain may have made you cautious, but do not let it make you unavailable to your future. You can be wise without being closed. You can be careful without being paralyzed. You can heal without becoming hardened. Believing again is an act of courage. Trying again is an act of courage. Showing up after disappointment is an act of courage. Give yourself credit for that. And let me remind you of something important. You do not have to feel powerful to make a powerful choice. You do not have to feel brave to act bravely. You do not have to feel confident to move with conviction. Feelings are weather. Commitment is direction. If you wait for emotional sunshine every day, you will not travel far. But if you decide where you are going and keep moving through different weather, your life will change. That's what people with self-belief do. They do not bow to every mood. They honor the mission more than the moment. Now let's talk about discipline for a minute. Because people separate self-belief and discipline, but they are deeply connected. Every time you practice discipline, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. Every time you choose what matters over what is easy, you are telling yourself, my future deserves effort. Every time you follow through, even in a small way, you are strengthening identity. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect in action. Some of you think discipline means being hard on yourself all day. No, real discipline is not self-abuse. It is self-leadership. It says, I know you are tired, but this still matters. I know you are discouraged, but we are not stopping here.
I know you want comfort, but comfort cannot run this life anymore. I know this is inconvenient, but inconvenience is not an emergency. That voice, that inner leadership, that is what you need to develop. Because if you cannot lead yourself, your impulses will. Your fear will. Your habits will. Your distractions will. And then you'll wake up one day wondering how you ended up in a life you never meant to build. Lead yourself now. You don't need to have your whole life figured out. You need to lead yourself through today. Then tomorrow. Then the next day. That's how lives are rebuilt. Not all at once. Day by day. Choice by choice. Thought by thought. Habit by habit. And please stop underestimating the impact of one day. One day of truth can begin a new chapter. One day of discipline can restart momentum. One day of courage can open a door your fear kept shut for years. One conversation can free you. One decision can redirect everything. Do not wait for a perfect month. Win the day, then do it again. Now I want to challenge another belief. Some people think self-belief means certainty about the outcome. No. Self-belief is certainty about your willingness to keep growing no matter the outcome. That is stronger, because if your belief only survives guaranteed success, then it is fragile. But if your belief says, even if this path changes, even if I need to adapt, even if I face setbacks, I trust myself to learn, that is power.
Life may not always unfold according to your exact script. But when you believe in your capacity, you stop acting like one detour is destruction. You become flexible, resilient, creative, resourceful. And let me say this clearly. Resourcefulness often grows where entitlement dies. Some people want success, but they want it without discomfort, without correction, without sacrifice, without patience, without humility. That is not how growth works. You may have to learn skills. You may have to budget differently. You may have to wake earlier. You may have to say no to some people. You may have to spend less time entertaining yourself and more time developing yourself. You may have to be misunderstood for a season.
You may have to outgrow habits that once helped you survive, but now keep you small. Can you do that? Can you release who you have been protecting if that version of you is the one blocking your next K level? That's a serious question, because sometimes the biggest enemy is not the outside world. It is your attachment to an identity that no longer serves you. The one who says, I'm just not that type of person. The one who says, people always leave. The one who says, I can't help it, this is how I am. The one who says, I always mess things up. The one who says, my family never had much, so neither will I. Those identities feel familiar, but they are prisons.
And self-belief is the key that says I can become more than what I have repeated. Now I want to bring this home in a practical way, because inspiration without application is entertainment. And I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to wake you up. So here is what I need you to understand. If success begins with self-belief, then your daily life must start reflecting belief. Not someday, daily. When you wake up, how do you speak to yourself? When you face a challenge, what meaning do you attach to it? When you make a mistake, do you use it to destroy yourself or develop yourself? When no one is watching, do you still honor your goals? When fear shows up, do you stop or do you breathe and proceed? When opportunities appear, do you assume you are unqualified or do you prepare and step up? These small moments reveal your real beliefs. And here's something else. You can borrow belief until your own gets stronger. That's why messages like this matter. That's why mentors matter. That's why healthy community matters. Sometimes you need someone to remind you of what is still alive in you when you have forgotten. But borrowed belief is not the final destination. Eventually you must build your own. Eventually you must say, I appreciate the encouragement, but now I am becoming someone who can stand even when nobody is speaking over me. That is maturity. That is power.
If you really want to change your life, write "I choose belief" in the comments. Make it real. Make it visible. Your fingers need to agree with your future. Now let me give you a picture. Imagine two people with the same talent, same opportunity, same resources. One believes they can learn, adapt, and overcome. The other secretly believes they are not enough. Who do you think speaks up more? Who do you think recovers faster? Who do you think asks better questions? Who do you think takes more initiative? Who do you think follows through longer? Who do you think notices opportunities instead of threats? Who do you think grows? The difference is not always talent. Sometimes it is interpretation.
One interprets challenge as proof they are incapable. The other interprets challenge as part of the process. And because of that, one quits too early while the other evolves. Do you see how powerful belief is? Your belief doesn't just affect how you feel. It affects what you try, how long you try, how you respond when it gets hard, how you talk to people, how you carry yourself, how you use your time, what level of life you believe you can access. No wonder success begins there. And for some of you, the practical next step is not huge. It is not quitting your job tomorrow. It is not moving across the country tomorrow. It is not burning everything down tomorrow. It may be smaller, but powerful.
It may be finally writing down the dream you keep pretending you don't care about. It may be signing up for the class. It may be waking up 30 minutes earlier. It may be deleting the distractions that steal your confidence. It may be having the conversation you keep avoiding. It may be applying even though you feel nervous. It may be going for a walk and speaking life over your mind. It may be getting therapy. It may be apologizing. It may be forgiving yourself. It may be making a budget. It may be saying, enough. I will not keep living like this. Do not despise simple beginnings. Simple can be sacred. Simple can be life-changing. Simple, repeated, becomes strong. Now I promised you something practical by the end, and I want to give you a 7-day challenge that can help start rebuilding your self-belief immediately. For the next 7 days, before you check your phone, before you scroll, before you let the world start talking to you, I want you to do 3 things. First, stand up and say out loud, success begins with self-belief. And today I choose to believe in what I am becoming. Say it even if your voice shakes. Say it even if part of you doesn't fully feel it yet. Say it because your mind needs a new command. Second, write down one sentence answering this question. What would I do today if I trusted myself more? Just one sentence. Keep it honest. Maybe it's sending an email. Maybe it's working for 10 minutes on your goal. Maybe it's speaking up. Maybe it's resting without guilt so you can think clearly. Whatever it is, write it down. Third, do one small action based on that sentence before the day gets away from you. Not 10 things, one thing. Small, clear, real. Then at night, I want you to write one line that says, today I kept belief alive by, and finish that sentence. That's it. 7 days. Morning declaration. One honest question. One small act. One evening reflection. And I want you to protect those 7 days like your future depends on them. Because in many ways,
It does. Come back after 7 days and comment, "Day 7 done," so I know you're serious.
Not because comments alone change your life, but because completion matters. Following through matters. Becoming someone who finishes matters. Now some of you are already hearing resistance. Your mind is saying, that's too simple. That won't change anything. You've tried things before. Listen, simple is not weak. Simple works when you work it. And a person who cannot do the simple consistently is usually not ready for the complex. Master small. Respect repetition. Honor the basics. You don't need another 1,000 ideas. You need implementation. You need evidence. You need to start proving to yourself that your life is no longer being run by old fear. Let those 7 days be your first proof. And when you miss a moment because maybe one day you will, do not turn one miss into a collapse. That is another pattern you have to break. Some of you miss once and then say, "See, I knew I couldn't do it." No, that's not wisdom. That's self-sabotage. If you slip, reset. That fast. No drama. No identity crisis. Reset. People with self-belief are not people who never slip. They are people who do not build a home in the slip. That is powerful. Learn that. Now as we get close, I want to speak directly to your spirit. There is more in you than your fear has allowed you to see. There is more in you than your past has been able to erase. There is more in you than your current results reveal. You have survived days that should have buried you. You have carried weight that would have broken weaker mindsets. You have made it through confusion, heartbreak, pressure, disappointment, silence, and still, somehow, a part of you is here listening to this message. Why? Because something in you knows there is more. Something in you knows this is not the end. Something in you is tired of playing small. Something in you is tired of doubting the very person you have to live with every day. That something is important. Do not ignore it. Feed it. Protect it. Respond to it. I know you may not have all the answers. I know your confidence may be bruised. I know you may be carrying regret. I know the road may look long. I know you may be tired, but tired is not finished. Bruised is not broken beyond repair. Delayed is not denied forever. Afraid is not incapable. Uncertain is not unqualified. You can begin from here, not from some perfect version of yourself. From here, with what you have, with what you know, with what you can do today. The next chapter of your life does not need a perfect hero. It needs a willing one. Will you be willing? Willing to believe before you see the whole staircase. Willing to move while still healing. Willing to honor your word. Willing to stop insulting your potential. Willing to outgrow your excuses. Willing to become the proof that your past did not win. Because your past does not get the final word unless you hand it the microphone. Your history is real, but it is not your destiny. Your wounds are real, but they are not your identity. Your failures are real, but they are not your forecast. Success begins with self-belief. And self-belief begins with a decision. A decision that says, I am done partnering with the voice that wants me small. I am done rehearsing limitation like it is truth. I am done waiting for confidence to fall from the sky. I am done outsourcing my worth. I am done betraying my own future. Today I begin again. Today I choose a new story. Today I stop calling myself by names that pain gave me. Today I start acting like my life matters because it does. Today I start building trust with myself. Today I start moving like there is something valuable in me, because there is. And let me tell you one more thing before we close. The world changes when people finally decide to believe they were not born just to survive. Families change. Communities change. Legacies change. Cycles break. Children see new examples. Healing multiplies. Possibility expands. Your self-belief is not only about you, it affects everybody connected to you. When you rise, you give other people permission to rise. When you heal, you interrupt inherited pain. When you build, you change what is available to those who come after you. So no, this is not a small conversation. This matters. You matter. And if nobody told you lately, let me tell you now. You are not too far gone.
You are not too damaged. You are not too late. You are not too ordinary. You are not disqualified because life got messy.
You are not finished because you had a hard chapter. There is greatness in you even if you do not fully see it yet. There is strength in you even if you feel shaky right now. There is wisdom growing in you through every painful lesson you survived. There is a future calling your name, but it will not be built by someone who refuses to believe they can answer. Answer the call. Not next month. Not when you feel prettier, richer, smarter, younger, stronger, more supported, more healed. Answer now, as you are, from where you are. Let this be the day you stop negotiating with the life you were meant to live. Let this be the day you stop making excuses sound poetic. Let this be the day you stop waiting for rescue and start becoming responsible. Let this be the day you look yourself in the eye and say, I may have doubted before, but I will not keep abandoning myself. If this message spoke to you, if it reached into that place in you that has been tired and quiet and hungry for more, subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone who is hurting, someone who has given up, someone who needs to remember that success begins with self-belief. And when you're done, watch the next video on this channel for the next step in your journey. Because this is not just about feeling inspired for a moment. This is about building a life that finally matches the greatness inside you. Now go. Stand up. Speak life. Take the step. Keep the promise. And believe again.